Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching this, just know that I appreciate you. It is Monday. I am now 4 days post-surgery, and I'm tired, and I'm in a little pain, so I will be taking some meds soon. But the good thing is the pain isn't like super intense like it was with the first surgery. So I can drag out my pain meds a little bit further than I was before. And the other thing that I noticed is that these pain meds, and I don't know if it's because of the dosage, but these pain meds, I end up with a migraine, and that's not good for me because it alleviates one pain but causes another. It doesn't even eliminate the other pain, the first pain. It just alleviates it a little bit. But it causes another, which can be more intense than the first pain. So I am, for those who do not know, and I'm going to try to track this daily. As I've said in previous videos, I'm trying to get better in my daily videos. But I'm going to try to track this journey daily during the week, Monday through Friday, for the next, I guess, 30 days, for the entire time that I'm home from work. Because, not that I really looked for this while doing my research, but it didn't pop up when I was doing my research on hysterectomy altogether. So I'm going to try to track this and post this for those who may go through this themselves. But for those who are not aware, I had a hysterectomy Thursday, this past Thursday, May 3rd. And I guess I'll start at the beginning. In January, I got deathly ill. I became deathly ill. And when I say deathly, I'm not exaggerating. I mean just that, deathly. I was sick and thought it was the flu because the flu was going around really big in our offices. I work for a... Sorry, I have to take a breath. I work for a building materials testing company, and we have a few offices, and the two main offices have the flu going around really bad. So when I began feeling sick, I thought that's what it was because it was around the same time. And so I started taking meds for the flu and began to feel better. So I thought, okay, yeah, absolutely, it's the flu. Didn't think anything else because, again, the flu was going around the office. And I'm propped up a little bit, like half propped up in bed. I did get up and get dressed because that just makes me feel better to actually get up and put some clothes on. But anyway, I started taking meds for the flu and started feeling better, and okay, didn't think anything of it, and then was really tired. My husband and I both were really tired. One day we came home from work, and we both decided to lie down, take a nap, and we did that. And I came into the bedroom and got in the bed, fully clothed, and he fell asleep up front in the living room, fully clothed. And I think, I forget what time it was we got home, but it was, I think, a Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday. I want to say it was Thursday because I got off work at 3:30, and he got off work shortly after I did, and I get off work at 3:30 on Monday through Thursday. So I woke up in intense pain, and I've said this before in previous videos, but since I'm trying to make this one, I don't want to say series because I don't know. Whatever, it's a collective of videos. It may just be one video, one long video over the 30 days, or it may be a series of videos. I don't know yet. But anyway, I woke up in intense pain about 5 minutes to 6 that evening after having napped maybe 2 hours. And when I say intense pain, I mean it felt like someone had stuck a knife in my stomach, in my lower stomach, and ran it across and just kept going back and forth with it. It was just intense. It was really, really intense to the point where I couldn't walk. And I had been gassy and constipated a little bit as well. So I thought maybe that's what was going on. So I made it to the bathroom and nothing happened. And it just so happened that as I was making it to the bathroom, my husband happened to look up out of his sleep and saw me barely making it. I wasn't even standing upright. I was stooped over. And he saw me stooped over and was like, what's going on? And I told him, I was in pain. And I just wanted to get to the toilet and see if that would relieve the pain. And that wasn't the issue, of course. So I got down on the floor. He's like, no, don't get on the floor. I need you to get to the couch. And I'm like, I can't walk. I can't make it to the couch. And he's like, come on, I got you. We'll get to the couch. Now, my husband, and as I've said before, my husband is very small. He's a small man, and he's a small man because of his own illness. He's lost over 100 pounds because of his illness. And whereas before I would have had confidence in him being able to assist me, I did not have confidence in him being able to assist me at that moment. And not because I didn't think that because I didn't think that he could. I didn't think that he had the strength because of his illness. I just didn't think that he would have the strength to do it. And then I didn't want to hurt him anymore. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I need to get to the couch. And he wanted me to get to the couch, and I'm, trying to figure out how to do it. And he helped me up as much as he could. And I bent over, walked to the couch, and I tried to sit down, and I couldn't sit down. So I had to get on my knees and rock back and forth, trying to rock the pain away, and got nauseated and threw up a couple of times. And he called for an ambulance, and the ambulance, he called while I was in the bathroom, and they were trying to ask him questions. And he doesn't handle, sorry, I was actually watching something. He doesn't handle stress very well. So he doesn't handle emergencies very well. So for him to call the ambulance and talk with the 911 operator was really very frustrating for him, but it wasn't helping me. So he finally got them to just send someone. And then he called his sister, and then he called his cousin, and he's trying to talk to them and tell them what's going on. But again, he doesn't handle stress very well, so that didn't end up being a very good conversation. But anyway, ambulance gets here, rushes me to the hospital. I get there, get all the tests done, and scans and blood work and everything, and they come back in and tell me that I'm septic. I think it's called septicemia. I think that's the name for it. I don't even remember, but I'm septic, meaning that I have a very serious infection that has infiltrated my body, my bloodstream. So I could have died. I literally could have died if I had not gotten to the hospital, if I had not been in that intense pain, if I had let it go any longer, I literally could have died. And I know people say literally, they use that word literally quite a bit nowadays, but when I say literally, I mean just that, as in it actually could have happened, or did happen. I literally could have died from this infection. But thankfully, it was not my time. God did not see fit for me to leave this earth. There was a lesson. There is a lesson in this whole process. And one of those things, one of those lessons in it, I'm struggling with now because I'm trying to decide what my next step should be legally. But anyway, so I was in the hospital for a week and on IV medicines for the entire time that I was there. And then when I was sent home, I was on IV meds for that following 3 weeks. And went to speak with a gynecologist, and we talked about what our next steps should be, and we discussed me having a hysterectomy. And because they found out that the infection was targeted at the fallopian tubes, and it had gotten so bad that it spread throughout my body. They don't know why it attacked my fallopian tubes. They don't know why the fallopian tubes were the weakest part of my body. I had my tubes tied over 17 years ago. And so we're not sure what the issue was, if the procedure had weakened at some point. We don't know. We don't know the cause. But we do know that if I'd had a hysterectomy years ago, I would not have had to go through this process. We do know that much. But I also believe that stress causes a lot of issues, one of them being a health issue. Stress can cause health issues. And I've been there before with stress, where I was so stressed out that I lost my hair, which is why I keep my hair short. And there are avenues to make it grow back in. I've tried some and I've seen some progress. I've just never been committed to seeing any of it all the way through. So even though I have the potential to let my hair grow back, from all natural and chemical processes, either one, I've tried both and I've seen progress with both. I just have not been dedicated to either one. But going through my first very stressful situation caused me to lose a lot of weight quickly. It caused me to lose my hair, and therefore I cut all my hair off. So I knew what stress could do to my body. And having spent the last year taking care of my husband through his health challenges, and still going to work and still trying to be me, but not be me because I didn't have the time to be who I am, it caused a lot of stress within me. And I bit my tongue quite a bit with certain things as it pertained to my husband and how I felt with his situation, because I knew that he was dealing with a lot. So instead of me telling him how I felt about what was going on, I just kept it inside. And that, of course, is not good. And caused me a lot of stress, and therefore it manifested in my body. So for those who don't deal with stress very well, let me say to you, find an avenue to let that stress out, a positive avenue to let that stress out. I am a creative person, and I love doing, I love being, I love going, I love being creative with my hands and with my mind. And since within this last year, I've not done any of that. I mean, I want to do it, but at the same time, when I sit down to do it, I'm not able to. So, I had no way to relieve that stress. But Anyway, I'm almost at 15 minutes, and I don't want to make this a prolonged video, but I believe stress caused the weakness in my fallopian tubes, which was the foundation for the infection that ran throughout my body. So, like I said, I was in the hospital for a week, was on IV antibiotics for 4 weeks total. And during that time, I talked with the gynecologist who suggested that we do a hysterectomy, and we were planning it for May because he wanted me to allow my body to rest up a little bit, not go right into a major surgery. So I said, okay, that's fine. We could plan it for May. That would be perfectly okay. They released me to go back to work. He and the infectious disease doctor, who's the one that was in charge of the IV antibiotics, released me to go back to work. I went back to work for 1 day and ended up back in the hospital the next day and had to have emergency surgery because the infection was not gone and had attacked my body even more. So I had to have an emergency surgery to remove my fallopian tubes, and was in the hospital for a week, was on IV antibiotics for 5 weeks total this time, including the 1 week in the hospital. And when I went back to the gynecologist who did the surgery, who was the one that was supposed to do the hysterectomy, I went back to him. He referred me to another surgeon, a gynecological oncologist, and that is a gynecologist who specializes in cancer. Not that he thought I had cancer, but he thought that her expertise would be better suited for my case. And he didn't tell me everything that he saw when they performed the surgery, but he did tell me that they did not get both fallopian tubes. And I was just like dumbfounded. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't get both? He says, well, we got one fallopian tube and we got a scar tissue mass with an abscess on it that we thought was a fallopian tube, and we found out after the fact that it wasn't. So they referred me to this gynecologist, and she said, okay, this is your case. This is what I'd like to do, but I need you to do this and this. So one of the things was to get a CT, which I did, and she was fine with the results of the CT because if I were still swollen, she couldn't do the hysterectomy. So she wanted to make sure that I wasn't still swollen or inflamed to a point where she could not perform the surgery. But she also wanted me to do a genetic cancer marker test. So I did that, and there are 7 to 9 panels that can be done in a stat time frame, as in within 7 days. So we did the 7 panels, and they came back with no cancer markers. But the ones that were most important were the ones for ovarian cancer, and those weren't going to be back in time. So I told the surgeon that, I told the doctor that we can remove my ovaries. I'm fine with removing my ovaries. And I had always been warned about removing the ovaries if I was going to do a hysterectomy, because that would send me right into menopause. And what I kept explaining to the doctors was that I was fine with that because I had already been I don't know if they call it pre or perimenopausal. I'd already started having hot flashes when I had my tubes tied years ago. So I was already feeling that, but they were talking not just about the hot flashes, but the low estrogen and the different changes that would happen in my body. And I am okay with that because I'm a naturalist, and that I try to find the best natural way to deal with certain things. So I do my research and I find things that will help me naturally. I don't want to take hormones. I don't, especially the artificial hormones. I don't want to do that because I know that those can, in many cases, heighten the cancer probabilities. And since I have cancer high on both families, on both sides of my family anyway. I don't want to do anything that's going to bring about a higher probability. One of the things that the cancer counselor, the genetic cancer counselor, talked to me about was, before the testing, I had to speak with the counselor. One of the things that she talked to me about was the fact that the cancers that were in my family were not consistent enough for her to say that I would, in the near future or in the future, for sure contract one of these, or develop, I should say, one of these cancers. And I explained to her that I understand that, but I wanted to get the testing done anyway. And I was having my ovaries moved regardless, because I didn't want to go through a third surgery. And she really tried her best to convince me not to. And I told her I understood that she had her job to do, that she had to advise the best way that she thought would benefit me, but I had to do what was best for me. And even though I've had 3 aunts on my dad's side pass away from various forms of cancer, neither one of them were connected. But I've also had a couple of aunts on my dad's side diagnosed with cancer and come through on the other side and be in, active remission. So she was really hesitant for me to have my ovaries removed. But again, I didn't want to have to go through this process again. So I opted to have everything removed this past Thursday. The surgery was a success. It took them longer than they thought. Instead of it being like an hour and a half, it ended up being more like 2 and some change. And the doctor came out and talked to my husband and told my husband that it was a mess, but they got everything. And then the doctor that came to speak with me the following morning, because I knew it wasn't going to be the same doctor, she'd already explained that she had a surgery the next morning and she wouldn't be coming in, but her assistant would. She came in and said it was like a bomb had gone off on my insides, because there was so much scar tissue all over my insides from, they don't know exactly where, but they are assuming the infection had caused the scar tissue. And there was so much that they had to get rid of. So that was a little scary to hear. But at the same time, I am relieved, because that means that, because she did say they cleaned it all up, but it means that they got everything. And that they did indeed take my ovaries. So I don't have to worry about that later. And I'm glad about that. So I was in the hospital overnight. I was released. The surgery was Thursday the 3rd. I was released Friday afternoon on the 4th. Got home and ate a little bit, took some meds, and got in the bed. Now, like I said before, the meds cause migraines. So one of them, I don't take at all, because the migraine from that is much more intense from the migraine from the other. They're both pain relievers. One is just stronger than the other. So I'm going to stick with the lighter, because one, the pain isn't like tremendously intense as it was when I had the fallopian tube removed. Because with the fallopian tube, this is the difference between the 2 surgeries. With the fallopian tube, they literally had to cut me open. They did a bikini cut to get the fallopian tube. With this, they did not do a bikini cut. Excuse me, they didn't do a bikini cut. They did it laparoscopically, which means they poked, and I can't show you, but they poked holes in my stomach in various places, and then one in my navel, so that they could put the scopes in and put the surgical devices in, so that they could cut away at the different masses that needed to come out. And then she also cut my vaginal area, and I wasn't sure how she was going to do the removal, because there are a couple of ways to do it. One is to remove it through the vagina, which is what she did. But another is to use this device that literally chops up. It has teeth on it, and it chops up the masses, the internal organs that are being removed, or the masses that are being removed. It literally chops it up and sucks it up through a tube. And I was wondering if she was going to do it that way or she's going to do it vaginally, and she did do it vaginally. So they had to cut my vaginal area as well to remove the uterus and all of the other masses. So I am in pain at the incision areas. And they're literally, the incision areas weren't much bigger than like a Sharpie marker. And I thought I had a Sharpie over here, but I don't. But they're not much bigger than a Sharpie marker. So I have 4 of those incisions there, plus one that's a little bit bigger in the navel area where the larger instrument had to go. So those points are the points that ache right now. Thankfully, the vaginal area does not. But I cannot, when I use the bathroom, I cannot wipe as women, we would traditionally do. We would wipe after we use the bathroom, just with urinating. And I can't do that. So that's a bit uncomfortable, and only because it's what I'm used to doing. But I know that if I actually did the wiping, it would be even more uncomfortable, simply because of the cut that was made. Again, there is the discomfort, but it isn't like intense. So I will be taking my meds momentarily. I did put something on my stomach. I do have a little bit of nausea, but not a lot, which is a good thing. And yeah, gonna take my meds, gonna finish watching a little TV, probably throw on some YouTube videos, and probably doze off. I am tired. I've been sleeping all weekend, getting up and getting some fresh air a little bit, both Saturday and Sunday, just because I needed to get out of the house. I needed to walk around. But for the most part, in the house and getting some rest. My husband was with me all 4 days. It was taxing on him as well. Because again, he's not at his healthiest point either. He is improving. Thank God for that. He is improving. Now, if I can just keep him consistently doing what he's supposed to do for his health challenges, we can both heal the way that we need to. But yeah, so that's where I am right now. Day 4, post-surgery. I've had a couple of hot flashes. They've been more intense than usual, but not like crazy intense. And the only reason I know that they're hot flashes is because I know that the heat's not on because it's been really warm here. So I know it's not that the heat that's on. I know it's not even the temperature in the air, in the atmosphere, but it's a body thing, and it gets really intense all of a sudden, and then it slowly goes away. And like it gets hot, and then it slowly goes away. So I know that they are hot flashes versus just a change in, you know, the temperature in the house or the atmosphere altogether. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I can do it. I do wonder about like getting the ones like my mom used to get. My mom could be sitting and talking to you, and all of a sudden you'd see sweat pouring down her forehead. And that's because she was at that moment having a really intense hot flash, like to the point where sweat would literally just roll down her face. I'm praying that I don't get them like that, but at the same time, I would rather deal with the hot flashes than deal with cancer. I'd rather deal with the hot flashes than deal with the potential of the infection coming back. I'd rather deal with hot flashes than die. So I will find a way to deal with them naturally. And I'll be all right. I'm here. I'm grateful. I'm alive. So I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So with that, 30 minutes in, and I don't even know how I'm going to be able to edit this. But 30 minutes in, almost 31, I'm just going to say, peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose and know that I appreciate you.